All right, we're ready to rock and roll. The first conference on Confederation and human rights remedies here in Tougaloo, Mississippi, at Tougaloo College, that has been held between the dates of September the 29th through today, October 1st. It is a historic occasion, and we're so glad and so proud of all of the people that have traveled here several miles to come together as a family to make a significant move in the development of our African descendant people. What you have done in those efforts will allow our people to move significantly in the direction of self-determination. This is a long time coming, but we have finally found a critical mass of conscious people who can advance our cause in a very formal way. And not just rhetoric. Today is an important event because today we're going to initiate the process of Confederation in a formal sense. And this is just the initiation. We intend to spread this out among our people from California to New York, from Miami to Minneapolis. And we believe that we have started something, and we have learned about some critical concepts during this conference, which will lay the foundation for our significant move toward a legal and political and juridical identity. Okay? And that's what we have accomplished. Now, just to give an overview, what we did was we participated in several presentations and we disseminated information regarding Confederation. We disseminated information and talked about and presented on nation building, the right to self-determination, plebiscites, restorative justice remedies, and the release of political prisoners, and how that process all fits together, and how that process can culminate in the foundation of either further developing our nationhood status. But what we're going to do today is significant, because what we're going to do today is advance a document that will be the initiation point of the nation building process. Now, tangibility. Yeah, we're going to tangibility today, okay? I like that. So, you know, I saw children here yesterday, and I was hoping that they came again today, because those children would have been able to experience something that later in life they'll never forget. I wish my children were here, and I wish my grandchildren were here, and I wish you all had brought your grandchildren and your children here today, because that's going to be a lasting memory when they can get older and they can point back and say, I remember when my grandmother, my mother, my father, my grandfather was there in Tougaloo, Mississippi. I didn't know what they were doing, and I didn't know how significant that was. And I'm so proud of my grandparents and my parents, because they stood up and they did this for us so that our family can be proud, so that we can fulfill those important actions that they took. See, we're not alone, even though it may be a small number of people here, but we're not alone. We're just representative. We got a cross-section of our people that are represented here. And we're not alone because we got Harriet Tubman in the room. We got the spirit of Harriet Tubman in the room. We got the spirit of Marcus Garvey in the room. Okay, we got the spirit of Elijah Muhammad in the room. We got the spirit of Malcolm X. We got the spirit of Martin Luther King in the room. We got the spirit of Wafdeen Muhammad in the room. We got the spirit of Chokwe Lumumba in the room. And we got the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer in this room, right? We got the spirit of Louis Farrakhan and Jamil Alameen. And we have some significant people that are still with us today. Two of those people are still with us today. And what we want to do is further those visions and those pathways that were laid down by our founding fathers and mothers, okay? And so what we're going to do today is try and culminate this process. And I'm so glad that, you know, when the story is told that my children and grandchildren and your grandchildren, they'll see your name on a document that's hanging in the African American museums and say, hey, that was my mom, that was my dad, that was my grandfather, that was my grandmother. That's their signature right there, right? And this will be in posterity for years and years to come. So what you're doing today is so significant, and I applaud you. We're going to take pictures afterwards, and there's going to be photographs taken during the signing, and these things will be with us. And I want you all to look around at one another, because you all will forever be bonded together as being some of the original people who forged the Confederation of African descendants. So thank you so much. We're not going to delay this process. I saw a picture the other day of some guys, some white guys, no women was in the room, and they were seated around a table, standing around a table, much like this one. And they were signing on July 4th, 1776. They were signing a document that was known as the Declaration of Independence. That photograph still hangs in museums today, and it's in textbooks. And what you're doing today is the same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. So this has been done before, but now it's going to be us on that photograph. It's going to be your picture on that photograph. And it's going to be in our museums. So this can generate a chain of events that you cannot even imagine right now. We can't even see all of the possibilities that are opening up right now. Now, when they signed their document, the only thing they had was what state they came from. Whether they was from Georgia or whether they were from Massachusetts or Pennsylvania. And they had their names, and it was listed under what states they were from. Today we're going to have a little bit more information, but it's not necessary in terms of the validity of what we're doing. But we'd like to have it. And some people can't sign for their organization, I understand. They may not have authority to sign for their organization. But they have authority to sign for their family. They can say, well, my family is represented here. My tribe, my clan, we're down. Okay, we're down for it. And that's all that's necessary. Okay, that's all that's necessary. So what we want you to do, if you don't have authority from your organization, that's okay. Don't list it. You just list the name of your family or the name of your clan. That's all you got to do. There are people that are not here today. They left early because they had flights that were scheduled, but they're definitely on board. Okay, they actually would like us to save a spot at the top for their signature, but we're not going to be able to do that. Okay, yeah, yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. And I don't want anybody to push and shove on their way out, on their way up to come and sign. But we want to really savor this moment, and we have a place for 3 signatures on each page. So you don't have to represent your organization if you don't have authority to represent your organization. But if you know that you got the authority to sign for the Lumumba family, or the Danfolio family, or for any other family, that's the only authorization that you need. Just sign for your family, okay? The organizations will come in later. The ones that are not here, but are here in spirit, I've got messages and phone calls that said that they wish that they were here, and just as soon as they can get to this document, they're signing it. In fact, we had people that said that they came here for that purpose. That was the reason why they came to the conference. Okay? They appreciated the presentations, but they've been waiting on this for years. And we want to make sure that everyone that's not here will initiate this on their behalf. We'll do what we need to do, and we'll make sure that they get the opportunity to also participate. Now this is just the first conference, and this is what is beautiful about this. This is the first. That's going to be other conferences, but ain't nothing going to be like the first. You got me? There'll be the second conference, and the third conference, and the fourth conference, but you're here for the first. So that's something that's special. Okay? So let's, if we can get our human rights defenders, give about 3 of our human rights defenders here that can help facilitate that, and we go ahead and get this thing started. Blue ink, black ink. Blue ink is preferable. We had some pens. Okay, we got a question. Fill out.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I have a recommendation.
Okay.
That in the signing of this document, that we recognize and make a part of our study the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World, which was the Declaration of Confederation, signed by the UNA, signed by members of the UNIACL in 1920 in Rome. And that we also recommend that we look at and make a part of our study the New African Declaration of Independence, which was signed by over 500 delegates in Detroit, Michigan, in March of 1968.
Yes.
And also would like to invite everyone to the next 2 conventions. The 50th anniversary of the signing of the New African Declaration of Independence will be this coming March 2018 in Detroit again.
Very good.
And also it'll be the 98th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of the Negro People of the World by UNIACL, and that convention right now is scheduled to be in Jamaica, West Indies.
Beautiful.
We're not sure. But as of the last convention, it's scheduled to be in Jamaica, West Indies, and so we're inviting everybody there.
Good. That's beautiful, brother. And the beautiful thing about Confederation and the ingenious design of Confederation is that everyone who has already viewed themselves as a nation do not have to change anything about what they've done and what they've accomplished in terms of forming their nationhoods. What we're trying to do is bring those nations together, okay? And we're no longer going to be separate. We're going to have unity in this process. So all of those things that have gone before us are not done in vain. They have been done to build us to where we are today. And what we can do in this process of Confederation is bring all of those various tribes, all those various organizations, all those various clans, all those various nations that we have that represent our people. Because we are varied, and we have distinct identities that we want to maintain in those organizations. And we want to make sure that the integrity of those organizations and the respect and the dignity of those organizations are maintained. And so we're not in conflict with anything that has been done. We just want to further unify ourselves. But what we're going to do that's different is that we're going to carve out a legal and political and juridical identity that can be used in international forums. So that's the only thing that's different. And we're going to try to do it in a unified manner. So having said that, those who are prepared, let's do it 3 at a time if we can. We have 3 people, because each one of these pages have places for 3 spots. So we have in this room probably about 20 people. So 1, 2, 3.
If I can make a quick comment.
Yeah, please.
I'm not the one to say, if you're your own family, in fact, I wouldn't call you a friend if you see a dot on my face that should not be there. I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
You're not a friend of mine.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did you see something that I missed?
What I'm saying is, just for a matter of critical thinking and constructive criticism, I thought that for as important as this process is, I thought that my attending this conference, I didn't know what it is I was attending in the first place, was a forum that provides the opportunity to get input into whatever it is that is going to be ultimately constructed for the purpose of moving forward. But what I'm gathering from what I observed over the past 2 days, there was already a preparation of something that was presented, and then folks were listening to it. But none of the information or whatever, there was not a forum for input into whatever was constructed. And I don't even know what was constructed. All I know is that we heard a presentation, and there's a document signed. And I'm not the type of person that signs documents or reading, because I don't even know what I'm reading, but I'm signing.
Well, in your, wait a minute, no. Well, in your, excuse me, in your bag is the document. When you registered for the conference, they gave you a bag. The document is in your bag. If you maybe you haven't opened it up and read. Okay, that's what we brought some. We brought some extras. You have a chance to read. But some people did read it beforehand. Most people in their document did read it. So that's in the presentations was oriented toward that document. Okay. Yeah. So if you miss the document in your bag, I can see why you would have that observation that you have. Yeah. But yeah, take the time. We're not in here. Take the time and and review the document. And because we want to make sure that everybody who signs, they know exactly what they're signing, right? And that's very important. We don't want to skip that step. And some people came here to this conference ready to sign in the beginning. Some people came to the conference here to learn and to get edified in what they already knew. And some people, this was totally fresh for. They had no idea of any of these concepts. And so it was definitely an educational endeavor for them. But even if you're not prepared today to sign, if you're not prepared today to sign, that's okay. We just hate that you missed that opportunity to be among the first. That's all. But you can sign this document at any time. We're not in a rush. We got 45 million people. We got 45 million people, and we don't have enough sheets to fit them on this page. So it's okay. You can take your time. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So it's okay. We're not in a rush. Next view, ready? Yeah. Yeah, I want my little new grandbaby to say, that's your signature on October 1st, 2017. You signed that? We're gonna do 3 at a time. Okay. That's it.
I might put that together.
3 more.
I had already done one, remember? I did. Oh, you did? Don't you remember we did one? Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I mean, it's still, the folks still using it. But you won't get kicked me off the committee, so that's why.
And we're gonna try and take a group picture, if we can, up under the banner. We'll try to move this table out and make sure we have a group picture. We got spaces for 2 more. Who has, if you have a sign, you want to sign, we got spaces for 2 more people to come up. Yes. What's that? Put your fingerprint on it? Oh, put the blood on it. And I don't know when everyone has a plan to leave, but if they're from out of town and they have a few minutes after we adjourn here, we can meet at the Latin restaurant and kind of break bread together. If you like, huh? Yeah. And is the museum open today? Can we get a private tour of the museum? Okay. Well, you know, I haven't had a chance to visit today. Yeah. Well, if we can take a private tour of the museum, I would have really loved to have signed that at the museum. Yeah. And if we can take pictures at the museum, that would be great. Group pictures. Yeah. Yeah. I know those folks in Timbuktu. I know they're happy today. Sister Cola, she can tell us about it. Hey, let's try to make a decision on this. Would y'all prefer to go to the museum first and then the restaurant and break bread, or do you want to break bread first and then go to the museum? You're gonna hit the road, okay, all right. Anybody else? Yeah. It's near the area? Okay. So is it possible for us to go to the museum first? Can we do that? All right. All right, well, is everyone who they come to sign? Y'all know what y'all signing? Well, okay, all right. Okay, good. Y'all know that what you're doing is history right now, don't you? Here in Tougaloo College, in Tougaloo, Mississippi, near Jackson. We're gonna do 3 at a time, so the next 3. Are y'all 18 years old? Okay, all right, just check. We want adults. Now, you don't look like you're 18. You don't look like you're 18. Oh, she said, who? No. Yeah, we don't have to get parent permission for you to sign. You gotta have your own ability. Huh? Yeah. Okay. And let me read it out, because for those who are not at the conference, I can read it. No. They're in the bags. We have extra copies in the bag. Okay, I'll read this out loud as well, just to make sure. We have African Descendants Declaration of Self-Determination. By the token of time, human history makes it necessary for one people to modify the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to take control of the powers granted by the Creator of the earth. For the separate and equal status to which the laws of nature and nations give rise, human decency requires respect for all rights declared and for the causes which compel them to assert the right to self-determination. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humans are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and self-determination, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among human beings, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall deem most likely to affect their peace and security. Common sense indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for frivolous and transient reasons. And accordingly, world history has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to redeem themselves by abolishing the abuses to which they are accustomed. But when a long history of genocide, enslavement, domestic colonization, lynching, forced immigration, forced assimilation, ethnocide, rape, torture, police brutality, murder, and discrimination, pursuing invariably the same objective. It evidences a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide for the restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, safeguards, and protections for the people's future security and self-determination, such as being the patient suffering of the African descendant nation, known as New Africans by the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa, known as the African Diaspora by the African Union, known as Afro-Descendants by the Organization of American States, known as African Descendants by the United Nations, and known as chattel slaves, contraband, 3/5 of a man, colored, Negroes, blacks, second-class citizens, Afro-Americans, and now African-American citizens by the United States of America. Therefore, among this nation, within a nation, are our people who have already formed nationhood based upon their legal, political, and religious right to do so. These and others have the God-given right to separate into lands of their choosing, in the manner of their choosing, yet still confederate with all kinsmen whenever they choose to do so. Within the legal history of the United States of America, there has never been one democratic opportunity granted to the African descendant nation to give their collective consent to governance by use of a plebiscite. The history of the United States of America is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct objective of establishing an absolute hegemony over the African descendant nation. As such, it is now out of necessity that obligates us to alter our former relationship to the systems of government, to include our international, political, legal status as an indigenous nation with rights of sovereignty and self-determination within and among the various villages, towns, cities, unincorporated areas, states, and federal territories in which the people reside. Let whatever present citizenship rights attained through the long years of rebellion and struggle for civil and human rights be implemented in the various subdivisions of government. These citizenship rights shall not be relinquished, but shall be in addition to those internationally recognized human rights so established through this Declaration of Self-Determination. To establish our just cause, let the prevailing international law be acknowledged and declared to an empathetic world. The Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and its two protocols, the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, the Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid, the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, the Convention against torture and other cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women and its protocol, the Convention on the Rights of the Child and its 2 optional protocols, the Conventions of Geneva, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples, the Declaration on the Rights of Persons belonging to national or ethnic, religious, and linguistic minorities, Declaration of the Basic Principles of Justice for Victims of Crimes and Abuse of Power, United Nations General Assembly Resolutions 1514, 1541, 1654, 2621, 2625, 2708, 3103, 3130, 35118, 35119, 35120, 4723, 4852, and 6147 et al. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the American Convention on Human Rights and its protocols, the Inter-American Convention to Prevent and Punish Torture. To establish our just cause, let the undisputed facts be acknowledged and declared to an empathetic world. After the Civil War, the government of the United States of America, through the enactment of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, unilaterally decided the political, legal identity and status for African descendants. For more than 400 years, African descendants have suffered a long history of crimes against humanity and the most gross human rights violations, such as genocide, enslavement, domestic colonization, lynching, forced immigration, forced assimilation, ethnocide, biogenetic engineering, rape, torture, police killings and brutality, murder and discrimination in its political, economic, and social life. African descendants have never been afforded a democratic process to collectively decide their own political, legal identity, and thus their own status as a free people. African descendants are an admixture of various African, Native American, and European racial and ethnic groups, with Africans being the earliest migrants to the Americas, according to contemporary scientific inquiry. African descendants' admixture components are unique and concomitant with the biogenetic engineering activities conducted during the transatlantic slave trade, thereby producing a population of indigenous to the Americas. African descendants have developed separate and distinct survival systems for political, economic, social, cultural, educational, religious, and linguistic expression. African descendants have raised their children, buried their dead, developed and built their own institutions on the land. There are over 732 cities throughout the United States that are controlled by African descendant mayors and city councils. African descendants have an annual aggregate income and consumer purchasing power of over $1 trillion and have the collective right to economic development in their own best interests. The Million Man March attracted over 2 million men for a Day of Atonement. A national survey of African descendant attitudes regarding the issue of self-determination revealed that over 80% favored self-determination. A conference entitled From Civil Rights to Human Rights was held by scholars and social activists to chart out a new plan of action for their struggle for self-determination. African descendants are a nation within a nation. They are a nation within the United States of America and are entitled to the right to self-determination as a free people. So we, the undersigned, in order to form a more perfect union, do hereby declare our right to self-determination as an African descendant nation, our right to the political and legal identity and status as an indigenous nation within the United States of America, as well as all rights, privileges, and duties of citizenship acquired by the long years of rebellion and struggle for the human rights granted to all by the Creator of the universe. And it's dated the 24th day of September, but this will start with the date of October the 1st, 2017. Prepared by and submitted by Musa Dan Folio, General Counsel for the International Commission on African Descendants.
Now, if we had to, and I doubt if we do, have to present this to the international court, what you just witnessed is a dry run of it. And all of the conventions and principles that were enunciated would be all of the principles and conventions and laws that undergird our right to self-determination and our right to confederate to do so, and our right to proceed as we have proceeded. So, we don't think that it'll come to play because the United States, because there's too much law for them to buttress with any, and we don't have any argument for that. So any approach by them would be something to cause dissension amongst us. Because as you see by the large, well-founded conventions that have been signed by the countries of the world, including the United States. The United States penned about maybe a third of these conventions. So they can't argue against themselves because they agreed to it, because they didn't think that it would be right enough to get to this point where we understood international law and our right to be free human beings. So we really appreciate, and it's a very chilling experience, and welcome the young people who are going to benefit from this. This is why Dr. Lawrence sought them out. And you would be like a model for the other young people that are going to benefit from having your own explanation. We have the right to do it. It's well founded under international law. We're going to give you copies. We have I hope we have your email addresses so that we can fill you in on all the information that you need to be filled in on. Because this is going to benefit your generation and the other generations that come. This is intergenerational. We're so pleased to be able to deliver this, finally, to your generation.
Thank you so much. Okay, family, we're going to adjourn. We're going to try to make it over to the, oh, they haven't signed. You still got, okay. Yeah, let's take a photo. We're going to take a photo here, a group photo. Yeah. Y'all can come down front and sign like everyone else. Let them sign with it like everyone else. Let's feel these.
They're trying to go to museum and then going to eat.
The museum, what's up, the museum? They toured the museum.
Well, everybody didn't do it. I didn't do it either.
Sure.
Let's see, our young people are going to give us an explanation of who they are, what they're studying, and where they come from.
Hello, my name is Antoine Matthews. I'm a senior biology major with an emphasis in chemistry. I'm from Meridian, Mississippi, and one of my objectives at TUGLU is to reconstruct the idea of health. So I started a health club on campus, Peer Health Educators. So with us being invited to this, to know exactly what we're trying to do for our community, this was helpful. And yeah, my name again is Antoine Matthews.
Hello, my name is Wesley Robinson. I am a senior mass communications major with an emphasis in radio, TV, broadcasting, journalism, advertising, and public relations. So it's a lot. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, you know, yeah, it's the home team. 79th, right by the red line, yep. Okay. You know, you meet somebody from home, you be like, where is that? Okay. But, my goal here at TUGLU was to, you know, better understand the world of communications and how it goes. I am also the founder of the radio station, which we just started back. It's called the Lou Radio. We're definitely looking for sponsors for the radio station, so if you ever, I'll be here. So, you know, just talk to me, you know. I'll be out in the crowd. So, but yeah, we are definitely looking for sponsors for the radio station, so if you have anything that you would like put on there, you could just contact me, email me. Once again, I'll be out here, so you don't have to rush to find a pen or, you know, any electronic device right now. So, yeah. Right,
Alright, good afternoon. My name is Jerica Gibson. I am a senior biology and chemistry minor major from Jackson, Mississippi. I serve this year as the Vice President of Peer Health Educators, which we are dedicated to redefining the philosophy of health for our people of color in our communities. I'm also a Brown TUGLU scholar, so I've been to Brown and studied at Brown as well. So I absolutely love the wording of the document, and I'm ready to find out more information and ways that I can get involved in health.
Hey guys, we're going to try and make it to the museum, and if you are available, let's try to break some bread at the Latin restaurant afterwards.
Gonna do a photo here?
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, I just wanted to make a quick announcement about something I brought with me, because I'm not going to be able to go stay with you. I've got to head into Atlanta and then, inshallah, head home back to Washington. I brought something that's on the table that is of very special significance. There's a CD, an audio CD on providing some history on what we've been hearing a lot about globally over the past few weeks, the Rohingya crisis. I mean, this is an ethnic cleansing and genocide that is right in the face of the international community. And so there's been a lot of attention. We were part of a coalition that organized one of the largest demonstrations to take place in the U.S. It was in New York about a month ago in front of the consulate for Myanmar or Burma in mid-Manhattan, and it was huge. It spurred a follow-up demonstration at the same location 2 days later. Well, this took place on Friday, that Monday, and then a week later, the following Friday, the Magistrature of New York City led another demonstration, this time in front of the UN. And so there's been a lot of energy, a lot of attention around this crisis. I brought with me some audio CDs. Information is power. On the CD I brought with me that we produced, the Afia Foundation produced, it begins with a clip from National Public Radio, a broadcast where they were talking about the crisis. It segues into me delivering a summary of some of the history behind the crisis, and then it ends with a letter, an open letter that was drafted by a number of Nobel Peace Prize laureates and some other prominent international figures to the UN Security Council, urging them to do something. So all of this information is on that CD, and the CD is whatever you want to put in the box. It helps us fund the work that we're doing in the Afia Foundation across the board. I mean, we're deeply involved in political imprisonment cases and issues, and so this helps to fund our work. Whatever you want to put in the box is good for the CD. There's a second CD that we have packaged in black. The first one I was just referring to is a red CD. The one packaged in black, this is like black gold. Now, I'll tell you why. A few years ago at Georgia State University, we organized a panel and under the auspices of our brother Professor Akinyele Umoja, and it was a fantastic, well-attended forum on Imam Jamil Abdullah Alamein, the former H. Rap Brown, and some history of that movement that he came out of, that produced him. We had an excellent panel for it, and a lot of history was shared. During concerning what happened, what was going on during one of the most turbulent and significant decades in American history, the 1960s. And so that is actually a DVD. It's a DVD, this one here, the black one. And we're asking for a donation of $10 for this. So both of these are at the table on the outside in the lobby area. And for those who are able to get either one or both of the CDs, we appreciate it, and I can assure you that you will greatly benefit from both. Again, the red one is whatever you want to put in the box, but the DVD on Imam Jamil and the history of the movement, our human rights struggle in this country during one of the most turbulent decades is a $10 donation, inshallah. So with that, thank you very much. I thank you for organizing this beautiful gathering and for inviting your brother Salakan to be a part.
Going to the museum?
I guess, yeah. I'm gonna be able to do everything. My plane leaving at 6 o'clock, so what I got time to do. You know the area.
Yeah, I mean, museum is, right there on So when you leave the museum, you can head right out to the airport. You can how long the stay is at the museum. I don't know how long they plan it, or how long the tour is. 2 o'clock time? It's 1 o'clock now.
Okay, this is what these brothers call the historical signing of that declaration. As I told them that we're a separatist organization, we have a constitution, we have a Declaration of Independence, we have a pledge, and we have a sitting government. So I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs. In order for me to do any signing, I know they talk about family thing, but I'm in 99 signed the Declaration of Independence of the Republic of New Africa. So if I sign, I'm signing for the group, and we do a collective thing with everything that we do through our government. So I will take this information back to the leadership, and we'll go through the process and see where we fit in this media forum, effort to be another kind of government. They are talking about, being an autonomous government and eventually leading to sovereignty. I haven't seen many nations did that since this process has been set up, but we'll see. We talked to whatever lobbyists we got in our organization, and president, the chair, and then the whole PCC and the PLRC. Today is October 1st, 2017. This process is ending at 12:53. Read the line.